It's been almost a year since the stillbirth. I don't want to be the guy that's scared of his own reflection, but I just saw mine blink. I can't stop myself from staring at my reflection's bright blue eyes in the mirror. My eyes are brown. Every Monday morning at 6 a.m., I can hear my wife shouting at the kids to grab their school bags and hurry into the car. They all died in a car accident a month ago, on a Monday at 6:10 a.m. I smiled at her, and as per usual, she smiled back. I looked her in the eye. She looked right back. Then she took my hand into hers. I ran away. It was terrifying. I never knew that my reflection could do that. The door is locked and I can't get out. I'm inside the walk-in closet and the door has no lock on it. The baby won't stop crying as it furiously waves its tiny hands at me, calling me Mama. My youngest living child is 25. I feel like my skin is burning. They took my ashes out hours ago, but I'm still here and I can still feel the excruciating pain. The others say that I will get used to it. I don't mind my mother-in-law visiting us on New Year's Eve every single year, but I just wish she could cover up the gaping cut on her neck. It scares the kids. We keep waking up every night to the sound of my dog scratching at the door. We had to put him down a week ago. I am a man of God, and I must follow his holy word, he said as he pushed another lifeless body into the pit. I must get more views, he thought as he started the live stream. He hit 1 million views shortly after he somehow managed to completely cut off the skin off his face and waved it in front of the camera like a bloody silk mask. You and your husband are running barefoot in the woods. Something's chasing you. You wake up screaming. It was a nightmare. Yet your husband does not wake up. I was listening to tingly head massage ASMR video while trying to fall asleep. The video stopped as I lost the internet connection. However, the scratching sound kept on going and I felt 2 ice-cold fingers running down the back of my neck. I heard the floorboards creak, and before I could get up, it all went black. I felt the scorching heat on my face, but I could not open my eyes. I felt 4 sharp claws ripping into my inner thigh, yet I could not move. I heard a harrowing screech right next to my ear, and then I woke up in the ambulance. The MD put the defibrillator away and sighed in relief as the nurse kept pressure on the bullet wound. The doctors couldn't find out what the lump on my breast was. I prayed so hard it wouldn't be cancer. Let it be anything but, I whispered to myself, over and over again. Now I wish I wouldn't have. The lump started to move violently, and tiny tentacles started coming out of it as it grew larger and larger. I grew up with my extended family in this huge house with 2 floors and an attic. There was always somebody that forgot to turn the light off in one room or another. Now that I've moved out with my wife into a smaller apartment, it's becoming increasingly obvious that we turn off more lights than we turn on. I've always been a party animal. I prefer loud music over the appalling silence when I'm all alone. That's when the voices come back and whisper horrible ideas that I just cannot avoid trying out. After our sons died, my wife has been carving protective runes into the wooden doors. Today, she thanked me for carving all those runes to keep us safe. It was midnight, and I was enjoying the sound of my footsteps on the snow on my way home. Until I stopped in front of the door, and the footsteps continued, faster and faster. I bought a painting from the market, depicted a weeping elderly woman. My daughter walked right past it on her way out of the house and briefly complimented the lady's nice smile. I'm literally hanging by a thread, and my friends are just there, staring at me, smiling. None of them even twitch an eyelash as the noose gets tighter around my throat, and my vision starts to fade away. This meal was delicious. Compliments to the chef. Thank you, sir. It's his family recipe, quite special indeed. The chef looked over the countertop filled with pride as he stuffed the remainder of his mother's carcass into the freezer. The buildings have become so much taller than in the old ages. Their weapons have become way more deadly. However, their faith has vanished. Their machines and metal towers won't be able to stop it from destroying them all. In the end, everything they've built is made of matter. It is made of antimatter, and it is vast. My friends always make fun of my mother's weird-looking blonde hair, claiming that it's a cheap thrift store wig. So I snuck into her closet this afternoon, right before she got back from work. She did indeed take off the wig and placed it on the nightstand. She then started carefully removing her face. And now, about half an hour later, she's placing her skin on a coat hanger and is heading towards the closet. He didn't remember how he ended up in this bar. His coat was wet, so he probably came in seeking shelter from the rain. Maybe, but he couldn't remember for sure. The rest of the customers looked just as baffled as he was, yet nobody was talking. They were all just standing there, staring at their own hands in disbelief. The bartender was the only one with a smile on his face, yet he gave up an eerie vibe, so the man didn't talk to him either. The man just stood up, made his way through the crowd, and walked outside into the pouring rain. He couldn't see anything apart from the cobblestone road, so he walked, pushing through the violent rain. The darkness was unforgiving, yet it gave way to the occasional lightning. That's when he saw a half-open door a few blocks away, with light leaking out into the damp darkness. He opened the door all the way and walked inside. The bar was full of people, all soaking wet from the rain. The bartender greeted him with a smile as he sat down and wiped the dripping water off his forehead. He didn't remember how he ended up in this bar. Today I woke up feeling a little lightheaded as I got out of bed. I turned around to lay back down in bed when I saw my body still resting there. They were just about to start the autopsy when the old man woke up. "This will be much more fun if you're alive," whispered the pathologist while shoving a rag into his mouth. The old man started singing that awful lullaby again while asking me if I changed my mind and wanted to play with him and some ragged stuffed toys. I screamed that I'm not a baby and begged him to let me go as he continued to peel off another chunk of skin from my thigh. My cousin's toddler was uncharacteristically silent for a while, so I went into his room to check up on him. He was staring at the wall, motionless, as the baby radio started making a screeching noise and the door closed shut behind me. The killer knocked the backstage door down and leapt on top of the stage, subsequently stabbing the woman 22 times. Nobody in the audience even flinched, believing it's part of the show. They all just clapped furiously when the scene had ended. The cute old lady next door invited us to have dinner with her and her husband. The meatloaf looked disgusting, but it was not as bad as her husband's decaying corpse staring back at us from the other end of the table. I woke up confused in the middle of a clearing next to a big oak tree, and I soon spot my wife on her knees, crying in the distance. Before I could say a word to confront her, I noticed the name on the tombstone in front of her. It was my name. I'm standing in front of the mirror and I start crying as I stare at my own reflection. It somehow pulled me inside, got out, and now it's heading into the bedroom with my girlfriend. I fell asleep on the couch with the TV on, and while reaching under the blanket to find the remote, I brush my palm across a hand with long nails. I am single and I live alone. Found my son hiding under the bed while playing hide and seek, so I grabbed his foot and yelled, "Gotcha!" My son protested, "No you don't," from his hiding place downstairs as the little foot in my hand started to twitch. "Miss our son," she wept as she took a seat at the table next to her husband. "It was quite a pity that we ran out of food last month," he sighed as he took a large bite from the roasted meat resting on his plate. We were both laying down on the grass, giggling and making a wish on a shooting star that went over the forest. Our laughter turned into screams as the whole forest beyond the horizon caught fire from 100 more shooting stars that followed. The forest never scared me, not even at night in pitch black darkness. It always flies above the open fields when it's on the hunt. Daddy went on a hunting trip and won't be back for a few days, but Uncle Gary said he'll take care of us until he comes back, said my baby sister while pointing to the couch where he was sleeping. I grabbed her by the arm and rushed out of the back door leading into the garage. I loaded my dad's hunting rifle and told her that his only siblings are our two aunts. Technology is the future, they said. All we cared about was to answer the question if we could. We should have stopped and asked ourselves if we should. Now there's only 40 or so left, hiding underground in one of the few places left on Earth that have been really off the grid. The whole human race reduced to a room full of scared, half-naked primates, trying to keep ourselves warm with fire, hunting rats with sharpened sticks, and licking the walls of this cave after every downpour. We deserve to die. I think it could even be considered mercy at this point. That's why I went outside and turned on the old radio emitter I found in the ruins. It won't be long now. I gasp as I look down, thinking this jump is too high for me to survive the fall. But my friends tell me it's okay. They've jumped down there before. After all, we've been close friends ever since I woke up in the hospital after the heart attack. They helped me get better. I can trust them. My dog wouldn't go past this weirdly shaped tree we came across in the woods. It just stares at it and growls. As I tried to use the tree's branches for leverage to pull my dog away from his newly chosen resting spot, the branch broke. My dog started howling like a rabid wolf as the tree's roots started to shift. My friends took me to this eccentric gentleman's club for my bachelor's party. It was called Fang, and funnily enough, when they stamped you with the Scarlet VIP symbol, they actually had a miniature fang attached to the stamper. It didn't hurt much, but it pierced the skin, drawing out a drop of blood. I've never been too much of a drinker, but I just couldn't get enough of their fresh blood drink. It tasted like wine mixed with a bunch of sweet tasting red fruits, I guess, giving it a thick, blood-like texture. Today is my wedding day, and I can't come out of the dressing room. The lights are too bright outside. They hurt my eyes, and I am so thirsty. I was walking by this abandoned house when I suddenly felt like I was being watched. As I moved in closer to what remained of its rotting wooden door, a bony hand grabbed me by the shoulder and pulled me into the darkness. This hideous creature put its blistered hand over my mouth and whispered, "Shh, it's not safe outside. It's watching." He smiled as he drove home from work. He smiled as he got changed, kissed his wife on the cheek, and put on his cooking apron. He smiled as he went down the stairs into the basement holding a butcher's knife. His smile widened even more so when he cut into the breast of the unconscious teenage girl that was strapped to the table. He put the chunk of meat on the grill, and while he waited, he noticed that the pool of dried blood was glistening once again, with streaks of fresh blood coming down the table's leg. So he just smiled. bus didn't even slow down in front of the stop sign next to my street. I yelled at the driver and he just smirked and spoke into the loudspeaker. "We're all going to get off at the last stop," he said as he put the pedal to the metal, heading towards the rising bridge. They're everywhere, waiting in the darkness. They're looking at me. I can see their tiny yellow eyes glistening in the dark. They can't stand the light, so they seek refuge behind the trees and bushes while they wait. They're patient since they know that my torch won't last until dawn. They're getting closer and closer as the flame slowly dies out. They bare their rotting, serrated teeth as they get ready to strike. Right as the dying flame ignites the dynamite sticks, I carefully pulled out of my cloak. They pounce. Boom! I've been suffering from a stiff neck for almost a week now, but I can't afford to take a day off. On the way out of my house, I noticed a deformed dark figure on my back in the mirror, just hanging by my neck with his sharp claws. Everybody in town helped with the search for our daughter. Some even brought us a casserole yesterday. Quite nice of them. The following day, as I was finishing the leftovers, I bit into something quite hard. It was the ring we bought for her 11th birthday. I wake up in total darkness. I scratch and knock the wooden lid as I hear dirt being shuffled on top of it. I scream for help, and a raspy voice replies, "Still alive, are we? Not for long." The barber's waiting room had a free lemonade dispenser, so I had a cup since it was quite hot outside. I noticed this wasn't my usual barber, just as he tied up the strings of the barber's apron a little too tight around my neck. His grin got wider as he grabbed the razor and licked it, cutting his tongue a little. As I tried to get up, I realized that I couldn't move my arms or legs. Found my wife home early tonight, dressed in these sexy black stockings and high heels, and literally nothing else. As soon as I got into bed, she helped me get undressed and climbed on top of me. We were both just on the brink of climax when I heard my wife's gasp and her briefcase falling to the ground in front of the bedroom door. When I saw her terrified face, I glanced over to the mirror next to the door and saw the atrocious creature that was still riding me. She always had a heart of stone, read the note they found next to her body. Her heart was missing and a large rock was shoved inside her chest cavity. The killer most certainly had a sick sense of humor. My best friend came over for drinks. My dog usually enjoys his company, but for some reason, he wouldn't stop barking at him when he arrived. I apologized and took my dog into the bedroom so we can have a little bit of peace and quiet. My phone was charging on the nightstand and it lit up. It was a text from my friend telling me he was still at work and couldn't make it on time. The doorknob started to jiggle. I felt weak and I struggled to open my eyes. She laid down on my chest and told me that everything was going to be okay. The stab wound still hurt, blood still gushing out of the wound, and my vision was slowly fading to black. Yet, her cold, bony hand on my chest felt strangely comforting. I just closed my eyes and let my mind wander into the darkness to the sound of her black feathered wings slightly fluttering in the wind. Everything was going to be okay, indeed. The water is so warm and the music on the radio is so soothing. Everything is just perfect, she whispered, as the blood gushing out of her wrists tinted the water in the tub in a deep scarlet color. I'm so clumsy, I stumbled and fell face first into the church's holy water fountain in front of my whole family at my brother's wedding. My glasses got wet, yet I can see everybody pretty clearly, except for my future sister-in-law. All I could see was a black silhouette with empty white eyes staring back at me. I've been a fortune teller my whole life, using my gift to peek into the future of happy newlyweds and skeptical children walking into my tent. Today, none of my customers paid for my services. All I could see in their immediate future was fire and smoke. I got this occult-looking symbol tattooed on my forearm a few weeks ago, and it took a very long time to heal. Today I'm supposed to be the maid of honor to my cousin's wedding, yet here I am standing outside the front door. The moment I stepped inside the church, it felt like the skin around the symbol was burning. The tattoo's lines are still glowing faintly. Ever since I've lost my arm in the war, I've been experiencing phantom limb pain. With time it got better. All that was left was just a mild tickly feeling every time I laid down on the old sofa in the living room. I've started noticing a certain pattern to the numbing, tickling sensation. It took me weeks to get it right, but I swear it repeatedly spells out, "Get out of my chair." I see the corpse slowly starting to twitch, the infection spreading fast, gaining control of this carcass devoid of a soul. As it struggles to walk towards me, I flinch in horror. It is so disturbing to see my own body getting taken over by this unnatural disease. I heard her crying as I walked by the alley. I tried to ask her what was wrong, but she grabbed my arms and wouldn't let go. As her nails kept digging deeper into my skin, the wind blew her messy long fringe off her face. She had no eyes, no nose, no mouth, yet she was still sobbing uncontrollably.